I think a big reason behind the meme of Darkwave running away with this set stems from the first episode. Home runs like Sedgemeyer, this, and another upcoming map are good enough for a first impression to be made. That, and I've always found Josh's maps on average to be harder, which, all else equal, is usually a deterrent for most. Anyway, Dreamscape is a wild success dripping with atmosphere, and a really cool collection of technology as well. Music is Last Day from Majora's Mask. So the first room of this map supplies you with plenty of tools to choose how to clean up this first fight. I like using the Berserk because it lets me kill these pinkies without wasting any ammo and immediately free up some space. The Mancubus will hopefully infight with the imps such that you can clean up whatever's left after he's done. If he doesn't, then you can just kill everything beyond the pinkies with the chain gun. Again, really not that difficult. Every option here works. The next fight seems intimidating. It's a wall of chain gunners, but it has a relatively straightforward solution. All you have to do is wake them up, and because you have that partial invisibility from the lift, they will likely mow down each other before they get to you. There is a bit of randomness to this strategy. Sometimes the chain gunners die to infighting, sometimes they don't. But this will always prevent some significant struggle. First secret in the map is this room, past this lone imp and shotgunner. Inset in this crate is a switch which you can hit to open another crate to give you a cell pack. Much more useful later once the plasma weaponry starts coming around. Next up is a pair of archviles. I like to just use Berserk on them. They come single file, you have more than enough cover to handle whenever they attack. You have more than enough health on this back wall in case they zap you or if you took a lot of damage in the chain gunner fight. And yeah, there's the other one. Really far back in this hallway, so you'd have to make an effort to get his attention. I do get lucky with the rolls, but that shouldn't matter too much if you're taking this slow. Grabbing the super shotgun will flood this room with monsters, so you'll just want to leave. This will give you a pretty good advantage to just blast anything that comes out with shells. If you can, if you're in a micromanaging mood, then you can get the Rakatrons to fight with the imps, but you will have more than enough ammo to take out this entire fight with only the super shotgun. All that you have to do is sit back, unload on the demons that come out of the doorway, and rush back in once you get low on ammo. The only big problem with that is the two chain gunners, and they can go down relatively easily, if not just to infighting. The only problem I could see with this is the amount of space that the Arachnotrons and Cacodemons take up, but you could always just use more of the map than I am right here. The next secret is through this window. You can't just walk into it normally, you have to step on this raised part of the blue platform and strafe run through it. You can strafe 50 if you want, strafe 40 does work, and your reward for pulling this off is 34 health bonuses, which I guess is pretty cool. The lineup is more specific than it looks, so it's pretty good practice for that kind of stuff. So the exit is blocked by a red door, and this is actually really cool here. This is a full body scanner that checks for the red key, done with a walk line instead of a usual switch. It's really unique. I haven't seen this replicated in many maps. First things first though, grabbing the blue key will teleport in a bunch of Hell Knights and Revenants, so what I like to do is rush back to this clump of imps here in the back, and just get behind them and wail on them with a super shotgun. Your positioning will mean that the Hell Knights and Revenants can be throwing projectiles over to the group, such that not only will they likely be infighting with each other, but they will also be damaging the imps as well. If you don't feel confident with this maneuver, then you can just get the Hell Knights and Revenants to infight regularly. This section of the map is more than big enough to house any strategy that you would come up with. Just watch out for Revenant missiles, I guess. You have more than 4 years to dodge anything that isn't a Revenant missile coming towards you here. I would recommend saving plasma for sections coming out, but that's just me. It does make trickier spots loosen up a bit. Secret number 3 is past this usable wall that leads to an alcove that ends in a soul sphere. Now, using any part of this column will raise up to the soul sphere, except for this part with the light texture. That will instead lower the floor to another secret containing a mega armor. If you mess up and accidentally raise the floor first, it's not impossible to get back. Due to Doom's disregard for height when it comes to checking for switches, you can just use where the light texture is and lower the floor again. Like that. Or you can simply go back around to the alcove and lower the floor from there. Something I actually didn't know for a while. The blue key goes to this section right here, and I make a bit of a mistake by rushing forward like this. Approaching the switch releases the 2 Revenants and 4 Pinkies, and actually pressing the switch releases 2 Cacklings and 2 Pain Elementals. Normally I don't do both of these at the same time, but here I just decided to wing it. So I guess the important things to note here are there are teleport spots that will attempt to box you into the room, and Plasma is very helpful in a pinch, though if you do these fights separate, you shouldn't be used. The Super Shotgun should be more than enough to dismantle these fights individually. If you have no problem with taking both of these fights on at the same time, then by all means go ahead, but if you're not speedrunning, then it's pretty much unnecessary. This next fight honestly kind of annoys me, so I just like to speed through it by shredding everything with Plasma. It's very easy to wipe out this group of imps with it, and it's about the only way to guarantee you're going to be doing damage to these sniper Revenants. Because frankly, I don't like them. They are back just far enough to make the Super Shotgun not useful. But I will say the height that they're at does give them prominence over the blue key fight too, which I wouldn't expect anything less from Darkwave's ingenuity. The next secret is back by this doorway you came through, tucked in this corner of shadow. You'll want to have a handful of plasma left over because this computer area map in Blur Sphere is a trap. 6 chain gunners will come out from behind this wall, but one burst of plasma takes care of all of them pretty quick. Otherwise you can just use the chain gun, and the Blur Sphere should negate any of the damage that you will be taking. There are more than enough options, there's a ton of recovery in this very room, it's pretty negligible. Now to get to the red key, you need to visit both of these wooden turrets. They each have a switch that lowers a wooden wall that blocks that path off. You can do them in either order. I like going right first because it's a little bit harder and I like getting that out of the way. Or you can just do this. But this is only available on the right side, and it does skip a couple of kills on the left path, so not today. The left side is lined with damaging mud and will spring a couple pain elementals on you. They come single file, so they're really easy to focus down. The important part of this room is that it hides the next secret behind this column, and this might be my favorite secret in the entire Megawad, at least the first episode. The idea is that you're on a time limit to get the backpack in cells, but this green slime will slow you down to the point where you can't get to it in time. So what do you do here? You can take notice of this health bonus on the top of this cliff and simply use the geometry to make it over the slime. It is such a simple segment, but the uniqueness of this puzzle combined with the unobtrusive lighting effects that really bring everything together, it just makes this stick out so well. We're going on this WAD being 15 years old, and that secret is still one of the freshest I can think of. The second switch is right here, and now you can get to the red key. There are 2 more pain elementals in between you and that key. They're definitely more annoying because their lost souls have much more room to navigate in this central area, but still not very threatening. The Super Shotgun works perfectly fine because they really don't have an answer to that as an enemy. Now before you do anything with this key, you'll want to take note of this translucent wall on this waterfall. Or if you have translucency turned off on your source port, you can see it on the map. This will lead you through an alcove that ends with the secret BFG. Now this BFG is obviously trapped. When I pick this thing up, I'm going to be surrounded on all sides by knights and barons. So what I like to do to survive this fight is quick swap so I instantly have the gun ready and just blast my way out of one of the corners. From there all you have to do is circle strafe as the knights and barons collapse in on themselves. They will all bunch up in the center, and the fight cleanup will just be a spam fest. As simple as that fight is, the concept is really well executed. Easily another highlight for the map. Now you can take the red key, and this will trigger an ambush with Pinkies, Revenants, and a bunch of sniping positions for Arachnotrons. I of course want these Revenants dead, because that's just me. But it is likely more tactically savvy to take care of these Arachnotrons that are covering the blue key area first. You're hoping at the Revenants infight with the Pinkies, but knowing their melee range, that's likely not going to happen. Either way, I would only be using the rocket launcher that you just picked up here. The BFG is going to be very useful past the red door, and ultimately it's just a waste to use it on Pinkies. Do not ask me how that spider survived 4 rockets. I don't want to know, and frankly, I don't want you to know either. So once you scan your red key card, you'll be greeted by 2 cyber demons, one that has free range to charge you. Now with a secret BFG, the obvious answer is a 2-shot, but you have to be careful of the second cyber demon in the back. That one could be shooting in a way that messes with the motion. With 1 down, you can walk through the door to open up the last fight. All of these revenants and barons are facing away from this cyber demon, so, of course, we infight. I accidentally hit him with a tracer while I was fighting the other cyber demon, so he doesn't immediately turn on all of his friends. But what is going on here is definitely the safer option for dealing with all of these demons. So, of course, with it being a safe option, I get bored and say, fuck it, let's just wake everything up. So your other choice is just using rockets on everything that comes out of the red door. You actually get a ton if you can reach the line of rocket boxes in the front. And infighting or not, where that cyber demon is positioned will have him adding his splash damage to whatever you're fighting. And once again, if you're not looking for efficiency, you have miles and miles of map to drag this out if you really need to. After the rabble is done, once again, 2-shot is your friend. This cyber demon isn't even blocked into the specific platform. He can get launched off if you have enough force behind your shot. From there, all that's left in the map is a pair of archviles. These guys, I assume, are just there to keep you from bum rushing past the entire fight. But they are confined to this exit platform, so if you have any cells left, they'll go down without a word. And that's it. Beautiful landscape, beautiful MIDI. I could not give you a real fault in this map outside of it maybe being a bit easy, but in that sense, I like how accessible it is. I don't mind that it's easier than Cliffside Siege because it encourages good feelings. The good feelings that I like having when playing Doom. You can get through the first 6 maps of Speed of Doom with this attitude even if you're not that good of a player. But do note how I say first 6 maps.